There's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Shawn the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am with a review of a Japanese novel, and I am sitting outside. It's about 7 a.m. on a Friday morning. It's a beautiful morning, but the cicadas are enjoying the morning too. So there's probably going to be a fair amount of cicada background noise, and that will just add some Japanese flavor to this review. I am here to talk about Yūko Tsushima's novel Child of Fortune, which I just finished yesterday. Leftover from Women in Translation Month. Originally published in Japanese in 1978, and the translation by Geraldine Harcourt, the much lamented Geraldine Harcourt, who just passed away at a very young age. I think she was in her early 40s or something, 3 months ago. Beautifully translated by Geraldine Harcourt in 2018. This is my second novella by Tsushima. I read her Territory of Light last year for Women in Translation Month. I forgot to bring it, so here's a picture of that, which I really, really liked. And this one, I would take a step further and say that I loved it. This was a 5-star read for me, and let me tell you why. So, what I enjoy about Yūko Tsushima is that she sinks you into her characters' lives so immersively. And her characters are, I think, from what I've read, there isn't much more translated into English other than Territory of Light and Child of Fortune. One short story in one of those penguin green little booklets which I have on my shelf. And I don't think a whole lot else, but I will read everything as it gets translated. But her characters tend to be almost exclusively single mothers in Japan. And I love that because as far as I'm aware, and I'm not aware of everything, but certainly within the quote-unquote canon of Japanese literature, there was nobody else who ever wrote about women, single women, never mind single mothers. In this book, the protagonist Coco is no exception. Her characters their lives are a little messy. They don't care so much about the strictures and the strictness of Japanese culture in terms of how you should live socially or this or that or the other thing. And that is what I find is the biggest breath of fresh air that Yūko Tsushima's fiction gives me. I love her characters because they are so different from 7 out of 10 Japanese people, Japanese women, Japanese people that you encounter. I live in Japan and I'm not an expert, but I'm saying trust me on that. So Coco is the main character. Coco is 36 years old. She has a 11-year-old daughter, Kayako, and she is divorced from Kayako's father, and she lives alone and drinks too much and works just enough to get by as a piano teacher. Her love life has been pretty messy, and that's a judgmental word, so I wish I could. Her love life has been unconventional since she divorced her daughter's husband probably almost a decade ago. She got involved with an old boyfriend after that, coy, and then she picked up with her ex-husband's good buddy. Now, what is told? Yeah, just checking what's on the back cover because I don't want to give anything away. As this story opens, she begins to think that she might be pregnant at the age of 36, and what will she do? She has become estranged from her daughter, Kayako. In fact, Kayako has become estranged from her. Coco's attitude towards her daughter is a little bit indifferent, and the reader can judge, and the reader may judge. You may judge Coco for that. I think, and this is just my opinion, I was recently introduced to the concept of the good enough parent, the good enough mother. It's a Winnicott, D.W. Winnicott idea, which is parents worry too much about being perfect parents. Be a good enough parent and your kid will be fine. And I love that idea. I think it will help all those of us that think we had bad childhoods. And I'm not poo-pooing actual abuse or anything like that. I'm not. But, we all think that our parents weren't perfect. Well, they weren't, and we won't be either when we become parents or if we are parents. And our children will be fine, just fine. Again, not talking about extreme cases here. So I loved Coco. She was She was a hot mess, and I'm not judging her. I'm saying that with love. She drank too much, and she didn't know what her life was all about, and I related to a lot of that. She was honest with herself on the page. The author was honest with us on the page about her periods of ambivalence, her ambivalent moods about being a parent, both to her 11-year-old daughter. I didn't finish that thought. Kayako is now living with Koko's sister, not so far away, but not really close, in Tokyo, and has a more quote-unquote normal family life with her aunt, uncle, and their children that are similar age to Kayako. So Koko's living alone, and her daughter checks in on her very reluctantly, once a week or so, but they just aren't close. Koko lives in her memories of when her daughter was a child, and she's still kind of trying to make sense or put all the pieces of the puzzle together about her marriage with Kayako's father, and she's never really fallen out of love with the boyfriend she had before that she got back together with, even though it wasn't a good idea. I'll let you discover those details. And then she's been sleeping with this friend of her ex-husband's. She finds out she's pregnant. That's enough about the plot. That sounds what does that sound like? Soap opera or something? It's not. It's a lush and very rich character study of Koko as she remembers in enough of a Proustian way to be beautiful to read, but not enough to be annoying as you know what. And she has dreams, and that would be my one criticism, because I don't like dreams in fiction, and I faulted Tsushima's Territory of Light for the same thing. At first the dreams were half a paragraph, and by the end of the novel they became full-page dreams. I don't like that, but it doesn't overtake this 150-page novella. But they're there. I mean, she's a very psychological writer, and that's fine. I can sort of hold my nose and get through those. There was maybe 5 or 6 dreams total. And memories. She lives in her memories, and she wants to reminisce with the people she encounters. She's not really living in the present. And that makes for a very layered narrative. There are small moments that are very humorous, but this is mostly a very emotional story of a young woman. From my vantage point, she is young at the age of 36, kind of flailing about, loving in her own way, confused as all get out, and perhaps some of her choices weren't the best, but let she or he, let you who are without sin, right? She is a character that I will carry in me for a long, long time. I also, and this is where I gave this one more star than Tsushima's Territory of Light. I loved the ending, and I'm not somebody who needs a great ending, but I thought this ending was so perfect. It was a weird ending, and I'm not going to tell you about it, but it switches from all of her stuff, which has come to a head, and I love that. It comes to a powerful moment of self-expression, and then it ends with an almost anecdote-like encounter with somebody else in the last couple pages. And I remember another book I read in the last couple years that did that. It kind of just veered off, and there was just another little news story at the end, which perfectly resonated with the larger story. I think it might have been a short story by Mavis Gallant, actually, but I don't remember. But this does that, and so you've got this little micro-narrative at the end, which I'm not going to describe at all, that just is the quintessential expression of who she is and what her future might be like. I absolutely loved the book, but especially because of that ending. I would have given it 6 stars if I could, just for that pitch perfect ending. So that's all I'm going to say. I think you should try this. Now, it's more of a character-driven novel. There is a narrative arc, but it's very personal to her. There's a small cast of characters, and they are well drawn, I thought. There's a lot of symbolism of white light and snow and winter and things like that, which I don't care as much about, but I thought worked very well. I would call the writing beautiful. Nothing jumps out as having a standalone vitality that I will share with you. You just fall into the undertow of the story, and I think most of you will really enjoy it. Thanks for watching.